Hey everybody, I'm super excited to introduce you to Kim Stanwood Terranova. She is a spiritual leader. She's a reverend in Michael Beckwith's church in LA. She's someone I've had a chance to interact with briefly, and in the short amount of time, I got to see her genius. I got to see how organic she can be with the material and really help people from an inside out perspective. As a reverend, she always brings the spiritual part to this. And I would tell you what I really learned the most was how to make heart-centered decisions and kind of get out of the amygdala and some of the primal thinking that we do. So, first and foremost, Kim, thank you for being here.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you. Thank you. It was a joy to meet you, a joy to work with you, and now it's going to be a joy to take this adventure with you. So thank you. I'm
I'm
honored.
stoked, so stoked. You have a practice in Malibu where you help people through some of their personal issues and really kind of are basically paid to be a spiritual guide. Can you talk to us about your private practice a little bit?
My private practice. Wow. I've been in practice for so many years, and it's an honor to me to work with anyone. It's sometimes people say, well, are you a coach? I'm a counselor, spiritual counselor, so that when people come to see me, they're really bringing their vulnerability, their open heart to, I need some changes here. So we bring deep listening and spiritual tools to help people change. The difference between traditional therapy and spiritual counseling is I'm listening, but I'm listening to spirit as well as the individual in front of me. And it's very interactive. So I'm listening to help one not just stay stuck in an issue, heal through it, and then give them powerful tools to live in their lives. I really believe that the more we're living, activating tools, acknowledgement, gratitude, prayer, visioning, visualization, meditation, so many beautiful tools that we realign, as you so beautifully do, lining up everything in the spine. I'm assisting people to line up everything in their heart and their mind. And I
Wow.
love it. It's an honor to work with people, families, couples, children, whoever comes to my door.
Love it. And I think the way you do that, because I got to see this live and in person, where you're a really intentional listener. I mean, like people really feel heard when you're in their space and you like lock in. I
Mhm.
could also see that you're having this conversation with spirit about how to help the person and what to do and what the solutions are. And you never cut them off and you never interrupt them. And it's just a real easy energy that you bring. And then what I noticed about you is you would always ask for permission. So before I give any more details, can you tell me about those interactions you have, whether it's group, because that's what I got to see, or with individuals? What is the tactic there, or why is that so useful? Because you always ask permission before you give advice or correct or adjustments or shift their perspective, whatever it is. It's really gentle, but I noticed
Thank
that each time.
It's so important to me that that practice is a sign of respect and honor to each other. So, and it happens a lot, as you've seen in big rooms, because in big rooms, if I'm feeling the energy, I could be talking to you, but feel something over here. And I'm attuned to when this person's done and make sure they're okay, that what's going on over there, I could feel that something's occurring. If someone is releasing feelings, thoughts, confusion, whatever it is, and I'm listening. My aim is absolutely to listen to every word beyond just what they're saying,
Mm.
something underneath the word that's coming up to the surface. Then what I do is ask them first, do you want input on this? Do you want me just to listen? Can I assist you with this? Is there more that we could keep discussing about this? Not only is it a sign of respect and honor, it's also being gracious to know I'm not the one that's to tell someone what to do. That we're in this equal playing field of I get to say, I heard this. Do you know you're saying that? Can we move around here? Can I offer you a tool? It allows individuals to say yes or no, I'm not ready. Now, as you can see, I hardly ever hear no, I'm not ready.
Right, right.
And yet, this is also came from watching clients for years, watching marriages,
Mm.
where in a marriage, often one individual will be chatting about this happened to me, this happened to me, and another one will want to fix it and say, well, you shouldn't have done that, you should have done this. And I will interrupt them immediately and say, please ask each other first. My love, do you want input or do you just want me to hear you? We can save all relationships if we start asking before we just throw out our opinion. It's a tool that in business, in personal relationships, it's a game changer.
I love it. And I noticed that right away. And so I think that's a big one for the docs to hear. Like, when they hear you speak in Las Vegas, it's going to help them in their relationship. When they hear
You
you speak in Las Vegas, it's going to help them run their team meetings.
you
They
bet.
listen to you speak at the live event, it's absolutely gonna help them with patient interactions, but it's universal, right? It's with their
Yes.
partner, their love, it's with their, team and their CAs, it's with their patients because they're universal skills. And then the second part that I don't know we can
Mhm.
teach people, but it's
Yeah.
something that you uniquely bring, is listening to spirit, and then you actually give tactics and protocols. Can we talk a little bit about that? Because I watch you get the permission, and then what comes next is my favorite part because I'm going, whoa, like I didn't see this coming. It was just really good.
So for listening to an individual, I'm listening to certain things that could lead me down a path of, oh, I just heard that. So there's a sign of limitation. Oh, I just heard this over here. That's a sign of a little lower self-worth. So then I could ask questions. Tell me more about this. What do you believe about that? So we're always getting under to really get to a core issue, whether it's physical health, emotional health, spiritual health, right? It's probably the questions that you doctors ask when you're like, well, tell me here, tell me this. I'm not sure. I'm not a doctor. Yet we ask questions to understand more. When we understand more, in my position, then I could bring in, I know a variety of tools that could assist with low self esteem, with a lack of self love, with one over here who has fear, or someone else who has a lack of forgiveness going on, resentment is building. If we could clean those pockets out gently, lovingly, then we could absolutely have fluidity and light in the spine, in our consciousness. I mean, I really believe our language, our thoughts, our beliefs are connected to our physical health. So it's as if we're working together and we could get under that and say, what's really going on here? And as you mentioned to me earlier, it's happened to me before on a table with a doctor. That one push, one little way, one twist adjustment, I could burst into tears, right? Because something was locked in there that wasn't discovered. So I do it through listening and then getting underneath where that lock is to open it up. And I think, Brad, what's super important is one of my intentions is to create safety for them to feel heard. When we create safety for individuals, then people will open their hearts to, oh, it's safe to express this to you. And then healing happens.
Love it. And so much of that I think is the really unique skill set you bring, which is that listening component. And someone will say, well, I'm a little bit frustrated with this. And you go, what do you mean a little bit? Let's dive into that, and someone will
Yeah.
describe things like, well, I've never really been good at this, and yet this is my profession. And you're going, wait a minute, what do you mean you've never been good? Like, let's talk about that self-esteem. And so you really
Yes.
like have this knack of going to that. And then what I love is you make it a teachable moment where like you teach the room what we just
Yes.
saw was this, and what we're going to do is this, and here's how everybody here can utilize this. And it's just
Yeah.
really impactful. In 4 or 5 minutes, this all happens. And it's just so cool to see it organically. You have prepared material that's gold, you have your wisdom within your practice, but just those interactions. And again, you laying on the table, I'm assuming you mean when you were seeing a chiropractor, right? And they
Yes.
so and a lot of it is like the issues are in the tissues. So
Oh, yes, absolutely.
right? So
Absolutely.
that adjustment physically or mentally releases these things. And I think there's a compliment here, right? Like a lot of why I want you to share with our group is you bring an expertise in something that definitely complements chiropractic. And yet we as chiropractors sometimes miss that component because it's a heart-centered message.
Mhm.
It needs to come from here. And that's a skill set too, where people to express themselves from their heart might not be
Mhm.
natural. To express themselves from their heart might be something they told themselves, now that I'm a chiropractor, I can't do that. Or I can only do it with my spouse, I can't do it with my team. So maybe
Mhm.
share a little bit about what it
Mhm.
means to be heart-centered or just making heart-centered decisions.
It's interesting. While you're talking, I kept in my mind's eye seeing like your patients on a table and how vulnerable your patient is, and what a moment for your heart to be open as a doctor to know my patient came here for assistance.
Mm.
And when the doctor's heart is open, we get to change our old paradigm thinking in society that if my heart is open, that could be dangerous. Somebody could hurt me. I could look vulnerable. That could be scary. That's not true. It's an old paradigm thinking. When we remember these days, especially in conscious business skills, when we lead with our hearts, we're authentic, of integrity, we're honest. Who wouldn't want to talk to individuals and open themselves up when someone's honest and vulnerable and willing? We can be powerful, firm, clear, vulnerable all at the same time, which means Our heart, when we meet others in our heart, we're much more authentic. Now, our brains are beautiful. We just get to balance the right here, this balance that we can allow our brains, everything you've studied as a doctor, to be right there to be of service. And when we go through our hearts and allow our words then match to create safety, imagine what the bodies on the table are going to shift and adjust to when the doctor's heart is open. Imagine what other healings are going to take place in people because they feel so safe, because their doctor is strong, clear, but very standing from this place of I'm creating safety because my heart is open and so is yours.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, that's
It's
so
profound.
so powerful. Yeah, it is. And authentic and firm and powerful and vulnerable. And you can be all of that. You said that in some combination, and it's like, yeah, that's the stuff. Because I think sometimes in my profession, I would say we think we're one or the other. We have to be this or we have to that. And what you're having is an and conversation. You could be this,
Yes.
this, and this all at the
Yes.
same time. It's like, who wouldn't want to learn how to do that? Who wouldn't
Yes.
learn to elevate their communication from a heart-centered message? And again, a lot of it, if we're in our head, it's like you're in your head, you're dead. Because we have these conversations and these amygdala confrontations that didn't even
Creating
happen.
stories. We're
Yeah,
creating stories round and round. I just thought of something else. Imagine how many patients, I know I do, come to your doctor seeking such guidance, where patients are coming to you. And very often, sometimes individuals will know, well, the doctor knows all. The doctor studied, and very many patients, you tell me if this is correct, could give their power to the doctor because there's fear. My body's hurting. I need help. What an opportunity not to take advantage of, but to be present and meet the person with a safety net of, I know you're coming here vulnerable, and I'm right here, and you're safe, and we're going to work through this together. And I'm listening to you while I'm listening to your body and listening to my beautiful brain move through my heart to help heal your body because you're healing and I'm facilitating.
love it. I love it. And so some of the do level things that we'll go through in the morning with the docs is, hey, healing's a 50-50 process. And what I teach these docs on level up to say is, I'll do my part, you have to do your
Yes.
part. And it's an empowering thing for life. The patient's health is not the doctor's responsibility, it's your responsibility. Now, I'll do my
Yes.
part and I'll be a facilitator, but I'm a small cog in the wheel. This is eternity for you. So let's teach you how to live on planet Earth the right way. And that means you take ownership of your health. And so we're definitely not trying to pull the power away. We're trying to empower people for life. And I've shared candidly with you, I've got no special love for pharmaceutical products, pills, drugs, potions, lotions, quick fixes, shots, surgeries when they're not necessary. And a lot
Right.
of people, we just kind of fall into what's easy. Well, I'll just do that. And I think these heart conversations can be difficult for some people, right?
And
I know you.
right there, I'm going to say until now, until we make the safety, the more you and I and your team of doctors, my family, friends, team of individual coaches, and the such counselors continue to create safety for conversations to grow. And know we can be all of it at the same time: strong, willing, vulnerable, open, honest, and authentic simultaneously. Then we're consistently creating safety everywhere. And that's a beautiful aim.
Totally. Now, I know you lost your practice, and if I'm not mistaken, your home in the Malibu fires.
I lost all my material goods, I guess. So I have a full retreat center. I lead large retreats for individuals, for companies to come and bring their, employees, all have for years. And in one of the Southern California fires, yes, in one night, everything I knew and my children knew was gone. If and I say this for the purpose of, if I didn't have the tools that I teach to move through the challenge, I would still be in the rubble. Like every tool I bring to individuals, whether it's groups, whether it's individuals, I've absolutely lived over and over and over again. And I believe that that's how we get good at it. We're building spiritual muscle. So it happened. It was an occurrence. Mother Nature decided my house was going that night. And the healing of that was profound. And
Mm.
it's a continual healing, and it gives me a lot of compassion for others who are going through all sorts of things. So we get to help each other through it.
And I was hoping you would use that phrase somewhere in this conversation, spiritual muscle.
So
Because that's another thing that you bring, I think, very uniquely is it's like, hey, you could have been a victim. And I like to say there's no rich victims in life. You know,
mhm,
why me? Poor me. You give your power away when you ask those questions.
right.
When you do the work and the things you're going to teach the weekend in Vegas, the way you went about that loss of home, loss of practice,
Mhm.
and then how you demonstrate. And at the time, the fires had just happened. Like there were still parts of the city smoldering, so it was a new
Yeah.
trauma.
Mhm.
And it's not even been a year at this point, but it was very fresh. And I was just really inspired to hear you kind of walk authentically through that. Like at first I wanted to throw a tantrum. And yes, I was sad. And yet, and even
Mhm.
that, I'm like, wow, it's really cool that you're just making it okay to have disappointment, to shed some tears, to be upset. Like that's the
Mhm.
human part. But then when the tools kick in, you can take it to a different place. So maybe talk about that little transition space in between there, like, because I think some people learn things in a workshop and then they don't apply them to life. And even though they're written in their notes, I call that shelf esteem because they put it on the shelf, you know. So maybe talk about that transition of, all right, I'm human and I'm feeling this.
Sure,
Now
sure,
I'm
sure,
ready
sure.
to not apply my tools.
Absolutely. So what I call that is you're either living in a pretty library, which is a lot of really good information, read the books, know them, been to the seminars. That's knowledge. We all can have a lot of good knowledge. But until we step into the room of wisdom, means we're about to live everything we've studied.
Mm.
I believe we build spiritual muscle on this planet not just for the purpose, I don't want to say that, but what it does is prepares us for when the circumstances of life hits. And all of us have circumstances. And when that occurs, we have more muscle to meet the circumstances and not be taken down by the circumstances. Doesn't mean it's any less hard. It means that we've got more strength to move through the hard moments. So when it first happens, whatever it is, I'm not one to say, well, we're fine. We're going to move through this the very day that someone's devastated. We have to honor every step. And that means the tears have to flow. That means the frustration, the sadness, the grieving. If we sidestep the grief process of any kind of loss, then we're lodging that sadness somewhere in a muscle, a tissue, a cell in our body that's going to stay there until we get it out, or disease forms, or who knows what. So it's an honoring of knowing I'm in this and I'm feeling it, and it's acceptable for me to look at people I love and say, just hold me today. This is a hard day. I don't know where I'm gonna, how I'm gonna feed my children. I don't know what clothes I'm gonna wear and how I'm gonna support my clients who lost their home. I don't know yet, but I know spirit does. And I'm gonna let myself feel all this, and then through the last tear, or whenever that is for today, there may be more tomorrow. I'm gonna be still and listen again. Okay, I'm willing to be guided. Doesn't mean I know how, but I'm willing to listen. I'm willing to be open and receive every one of those tools, my acknowledgement practice, my gratitude practice, my moments in prayer, spiritual reading, journaling, saved my life. Because due to those tools, when the world starts saying, here's a box of clothes from a complete stranger, here's a place for you to live, I didn't say no. Through the tears, I said, I'm willing. Thank you. And then you begin again. And whatever else comes up.
So I think our listeners will be familiar with gratitude, and there's certainly a healthy dose of that. We won't cover it today, but I think when they see you do the acknowledgement practice, game changer for me. I couldn't
I didn't
believe
want to cover it today because it's a surprise for that day.
that's right. That's the hook. We're reeling them in, right? But the idea is like that. I was like,
Mm,
wow. I go to a lot of workshops. Whether I'm speaking or sitting, I'm around it. Never heard that. Never saw it. And then I watched the room of 50 people completely shift. And honestly, in that moment was when I was like, I'm gonna go up to the front of the room and talk to you. When we were in Costa Rica and it was blazing hot, and I think I had board shorts on. I'm like, I'm a little embarrassed. I didn't even throw a shirt. I'm going up there. I'm like, hey, I know this. I look like I just
yeah.
came out from under a bridge, but it's like that was amazing. And not just personally, but to watch the other people in the room
Mhm.
really shift and transform. And then knowing that I was going to use that later that night on a phone call home
Beautiful.
in my practice, like it was just amazing. So as common as, gratitude and affirmations are, that other side of it, the acknowledgement was like, nothing I had seen, and I'm just super stoked to have you come
You.
and share that with us. Before we wrap
Okay.
up, any final thoughts? Anything you think would be relevant for the chiropractor specifically? Anything that you would want them to know before we get there?
Mm, yes, that there's a lot of beautiful pathways to ignite more expansiveness from the heart in your businesses, in your life. There isn't a separation between this is my medical business and this is my personal life. We get to meld them both and know all these practices that I'll be speaking about will amplify all fields of their life, not just one. It's just what they do, where they're not separate.
Yeah. Not
Okay.
separate and amplify. And that's honestly why we call this group Level Up.